Hey, on today's Modern Musicking show, we're going to hear about Alondra de la Parra in our music history moment. We're going to sit down with Gladstone Deluxe. He's a recent alum of Carnegie Mellon University, both a classically trained percussionist as well as a producer and DJ. I'm going to get another bass lesson. Hiroki's going to teach me about bass vibrato, and then you're going to have just a gorgeous, absolutely beautiful student showcase. We hope you enjoy it. Today on Jacob Random Holmes featuring Jacob Randall Holmes. Jacob, please play for me a high-end car commercial theme song.
Buy this car, buy the sedan wagon right now. What are you waiting for, eh? 'Cause I'm waiting for you now. We can't help you with insurance, so that's a different problem. So buy this car.
All right, so this is a deep dive with Gladstone Deluxe. Gladstone Deluxe, thank you very much for talking to us today.
Thanks for having me.
So you're a recent graduate of Carnegie Mellon University, and you are in the music field. And a lot of times people think you go to music school and you come out the other side and you become a music teacher or you become a member of an orchestra or something like that. And you're going in a fantastically different way. So I want to sort of unpack that. But before we talk about where you're going now or what you're doing now, can you tell us a little bit about how you got started with music, where you grew up?
Well, I grew up in D.C. I went to a high school called DeMatha Catholic High School, and that's where I kind of got my start. There were 3 percussion ensembles, and I saw the top one play, and I was like, I want to do that, and then I did it.
What grade were you in when you saw that happen?
That was like the 3rd month of freshman year.
Oh, okay. So you saw the group. Were you a percussionist before that?
I had done it, but I hadn't really been into it.
Not formally. Did you take lessons, or how did you get exposed to it?
The DC Youth Orchestra
Oh, gotcha.
in like middle school band.
And so you started largely as a classical player, for lack of a better
Yeah,
bucket
for
to put you
sure.
in. Okay.
Yeah.
And that ultimately is what led you here. Pursuit of. So you got a performance degree in percussion.
Not really.
You started out that way.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was
well, let's
pursuing
don't jump the gun. So you see this group, your 3rd month of your freshman year, and what was it about it that was so captivating to you?
Something about the percussion instruments and the performing in a group at a high level spoke to me.
And how many people were in the group?
I think it's about 12. Keep it between 9 and 12.
Okay, and so then I assume that you ended up in that group.
Yeah.
And so how long did it take you to get into that group?
1 year. I was the first one in the high school's history to do that, I think.
Really, in that short of a time. And do you remember what it was that you did in the course of that year to improve your skills to the point that you were in that band?
Well, I kind of just did it all the time. All the time that I was at school and I was free, I was practicing.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the things there's a lot of things, but one of the things that's very unique about percussion is I'm a brass player, so I got to figure out how to, buzz and hear and do this or this. But with percussion, you've got a whole universe of various instruments that you need. Each has, there are some similarities. Drums all have some things in common, but there are techniques that you would use on this drum and not on that drum. So when you say you practiced, what were you practicing skills that you hoped had crossover, or were you practicing each individual thing, or you were practicing rhythmic knowledge, or what?
It's a little bit of all of those things. One thing that I did a lot was just rudiments and drilling, like what most people do as like warm-ups.
Mm-hmm.
I do for like an hour or 2 hours.
Can you explain if somebody is this is for high school musicians. So if there's a saxophone player out there or a flute player who doesn't know what a rudiment is, can you explain what that is?
I guess it's kind of like an alphabet for your instrument. For drums, that would be some kind of sticking or like a flam. A flam is hitting both the sticks at the same time, but kind of out of balance. And that's something that's written in a lot of music, and you can kind of take for granted that it's there, but you should probably get really good at it and like practice it every day.
So it's as integral to what you do as scales are to a melodic instrument.
Exactly, yeah.
I see. And if you could go back in time and talk, like have coffee with the freshman in high school you that was so excited about that percussion ensemble,
That's so crazy.
what advice would you give him?
Be patient and confident in what you're doing.
That's fantastic.
Patience is big.
That's fantastic.
I'm a hasty person.
I really appreciate it. Well, thank you for your time. Gladstone Deluxe. Check out Gladstone Deluxe.
Let's learn to play.
So today on Lance Learns to Play, Hiroki Yuasa is going to show me vibrato. Before, I have a question for you actually. Is the
Yes.
bass about the right height for me at this point? Or should it be higher? I feel like I'm having to reach
Okay.
really far.
Then that would probably mean that the bass is a little too short for you.
Okay.
So we will
So
definitely
we would
want to
raise the
end
bass.
pin.
Okay.
Yes.
But for now, we'll make do.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you're going to teach me vibrato?
I am teaching you vibrato.
Okay.
Okay, so let's first start by making sure our bow is straight. So let's just play 4 quarter notes again.
On the
Great. So that's a pure sound. Now play 4 quarter
where
notes
yours is.
with a with a on the first finger. So that's an E natural. So just 4 quarter notes there. Okay. So now vibrato. I'm going to give you an example of how vibrato should be practiced. So
Okay.
vibrato will be coming from the forearm of the left arm. So a practice technique to practice start vibrato is by putting your thumb on your kind of beneath your neck, I guess, and practicing this.
Right below
rotating-
your collarbone.
Yeah.
Just rotate.
Rotating,
I'm
yeah.
rotating my wrist and forearm.
Yes, that's the concept of vibrato on the bass.
Okay.
Now, if you apply that, that's exactly what you're doing onto the fingers, bass, to produce the vibrato sound.
Does that look about right?
Your elbow can be raised a bit more there, just about like that.
A more rotation from the wrist and less flapping.
Less flapping, more on the wrist and forearm. So the shoulder can almost stay there, and the elbow will always be raised a bit. And your thumb can curl around the bass a little bit further,
Over
just
here?
like that. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then thumb will always just stay there, locked. And the
Okay.
first finger can just, with the same concept of this motion. So now doing that, I'm going to demonstrate vibrato with just slowly, very slow. And in the, maybe like a 16th note vibrato would be like, kind of thing.
And so the vibrato is it's slightly raising the pitch and slightly lowering the pitch.
Yes, that's about
And
it.
how do you decide how quickly or what the speed at which you use the vibrato?
Well, it would depend more or less on the passages. So if it's a lyrical slower, it might be like a more wider vibrato, as opposed to a more faster, exciting movement might be a faster vibrato. So
And do you practice it when you're learning it? You practice it metered, so you practice it with a metronome.
Metronome will be good practice. Like quarter note is 60, and then do like an eighth note, triple it, 16th note, and that's how you will want to practice vibrato.
And so you basically just want to keep doing it until it becomes second nature, and you can turn it on or turn it off and adjust it at any time that you want.
Yes, that's correct.
All right, you want to try and get me to do it?
Yes, let's do it.
What
So
could possibly go wrong?
nothing.
Huh.
So first, let's just make it clear.
There's a
E.
lot of things happening at the
Yeah,
same
let's
time.
just
Yeah.
produce a good sound first. So
First, don't suck. Okay, there's an E. Yeah.
okay. Can we actually adjust your bass so you're holding it in between your legs? Your left foot too is behind the bass there, and
So
then
the left foot is behind the bass.
and then maybe your bass can come out like this a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah, just like that.
Oh, I see.
and then you can. Your thumb is not collapsed, good. And then you get the Okay, let's focus on the.
It's beautiful.
Let's focus on the.
It is not beautiful.
No vibrato yet. Just hold down. Just hold
What are
it.
you laughing at?
Just press the. Good. That's what you want to aim for. And then just do like what we practice with the motion, just slowly. But you're kind of like doing. I think you're moving your right hand at the same time with your left hand.
I am. Yeah.
So it's a matter of practicing. Like
Yeah.
it's like practicing the piano with both hands. So it's not
Much
a
harder than I anticipated. I mean, it seems like, oh, you just do this and you do this, but at the same time, it's.
Okay. I think the best thing to do for now is just making sure you can play quarter notes evenly.
And then let's hear you play with some vibrato.
Will be the ideal sound of vibratos, I think.
Vibrato. And now, a music history moment.
Today we're going to talk about Alondra de la Parra. Alondra de la Parra is a Mexican conductor and the current music director of the Queensland Symphony Orchestra. She's the first principal conductor of an Australian symphony orchestra. She is also an official cultural ambassador of Mexico and a UNICEF ambassador. Alondra de la Parra was born in New York City and moved to Mexico City shortly after when she was still young. She began learning how to play piano at 7 and cello at age 13. She also developed an interest for conducting at age 13. She studied piano and conducting at the Manhattan School of Music. She's gained widespread attention for her vibrant performances and her commitment to Latin American composers. She frequently works with some of the world's most prestigious orchestras, including the Orchestre de Paris, the London Philharmonic, and the Berlin Radio Symphony. She holds the distinction of being the first Mexican woman to conduct in New York City.
And that was a music history moment. And now to play the prelude to Bach's Cello Suite No. 3, Alexander Chen. How does food and drink get in here? Mic check, mic check, mic check. Checking mic. Hey Mike, this is a mic check for you, Mike. Check. Mike, how you doing? I'm just checking. Oh, okay. I'm mic check with Mike. Check. And now to play the prelude to Bach's Cello Suite No. 3, Alex Chen.
Play it all the time.
And get out of the frame.
Yeah, because this is fine. Now she's lit.
Okay.
It's lit.
I was dropped on my head a lot as a child. Wish that was a joke. Hey, thanks for watching the show. If you want to reach us with questions or comments, you can figure out all the ways to do that by clicking on any of those links in wherever you're watching this thing. We've had a great time putting these together and hope you find them useful as well. Thanks for watching.